New figures show the UK's services industry unexpectedly bounced back last month, which some economists say now reduces the likelihood of a recession. Services account for nearly 80% of the UK economy, but had slumped in July after the vote to leave the EU. The return to growth for services follows signs of recovery in manufacturing and construction too. Here's our economics editor, Kamal Ahmed.
Famous for its pier, less famous for voting Brexit by a healthy majority. Southend, a seaside town where the ups and downs of the economy are sharply felt. Today, the mood was pretty good.
I think when you're generally around, confidence does seem to be pretty high. People are in the shops spending, doing their normal thing. But I know people in business, and I think they're much more cautious.
Not as bad as we're all led to believe, but again, I do still think it's early days yet, you know.
Early days, yes, but for the services sector, the largest part of the UK economy, including restaurants and tourism, there has been a bounce back to growth after a gloomy July. But what about those local businesses? I visited a sportswear firm which imports its high-end tennis gear from Portugal. A weak pound is not good for prices, and I asked whether more generally Brexit had affected economic confidence.
I think it did feel as if our world was turned upside down afterwards. The doom and gloom that was predicted, I don't think has happened, but I think there's a lot of uncertainty, which is worrying for people. We seem to be doing okay at the moment, but how's that going to pan out over the medium term?
These figures are certainly positive. They show the fastest month-on-month increase for 20 years. But I think a slight note of caution. Yes, there has been something of an economic bounce back, but still the prediction is that the UK economy will grow significantly slower than it would have done if Britain had voted to remain in the European Union. Throughout the year, UK growth has been about far more than Brexit. The year started slowly, growth at just 0.4% as fears about a slowdown in China took hold. Through the middle of the year, growth picked up to 0.6% as the economy strengthened. Now, it is predicted that growth will fall to 0.1% in the third quarter. Uncertainty over the post-Brexit future given as the reason.
Well, at the moment, it's looking like we might just narrowly avoid a recession. We saw a steep downturn in July, but we've had a rebound in August, which leaves an overall flat position.
The sky has resolutely not fallen in, but dangers remain. There is evidence that inflation is returning. Yes, a weaker pound helps exports, but it also means imports are more expensive. The economy is likely to be on quite a confusing ride as the full effects of the referendum vote sink in. Kamal Ahmed, BBC News.
Well, the economy and protecting local jobs was one reason, according to voters in some parts of the country, why they opted for Brexit and to leave the EU. One such area was Stoke-on-Trent, where far more people turned out to vote in the referendum than in the general election. Our special correspondent Ed Thomas has been to meet some of them.
Stoke, the city where the EU referendum mattered far more than a general election.
Well, this time I thought we had a chance to actually make a difference.
Here, nearly 7 out of 10 voted to leave.
I have a bit of pride to think we can do it. Why do we need the EU?
And what next for those who hope to remain?
When I open my TV and I see England out, I was like, oh my God, no.
What motivated so many to vote? This trailer manufacturer is one of Stoke's big employers. The order book is full and the boss here wanted to stay inside the EU. But still, many wanted change.
So I'm thinking my children might have a chance now. Give them something new, because as it's going, it was going nowhere.
Andy was so disillusioned he'd stopped voting until the referendum.
That one vote meant more to me than in the general elections. All it seemed to do in the general elections was repeating itself over and over again. Conservative, Labour, Conservative, Labour. This is something completely different now. This is a chance for the whole country to hopefully move forward now.
And across Stoke, many told us the same story. The referendum was a chance to be heard.
I thought that if people like me do vote, we could make a difference, as we did. In the end, it turned out people like me made a difference.
With Dan, there's optimism, a sense of a new start.
Like, we survived thousands of years until the EU took over and started dictating to us. Why can't we do it again?
What if Brexit makes it worse?
Then at least we've made that decision and we can blame ourselves.
I think it's a disaster waiting to happen.
But more than 2 months on, there's still frustration with those who decided to leave.
We're a very thick city.
You look at the reports.
The people here will say no.
Yeah, we
They
are.
wanted change.
Honestly, we are a very thick city.
That's
But they are-
incredibly unfair to the people who voted.
No, if you talk to them, I mean, I've got a Burmese cleaner and she voted out.
But some here blame the European Union for changing the place they call home.
Well, I just want to get back to how we used to be. That's all.
What do you mean by that?
All the foreigners coming in. That's what's changed everything, isn't it?
You know, they seem to just be taking over, don't they? The schools and everything. I mean, doctors, we've just been crossed off here, a doctor's register that we've been on for 73 years because it's full now.
I never ask for anything. I always work for my money.
So what should happen next? Consider Georgeta and Yanela from Romania, both working full-time as carers.
If somebody come to you today, for example, they say, "You for tomorrow you are
yeah.
from England," what are you gonna do?
We have to go, of course. Even if we are happy or not, we have to go.
I have paid the bills, paid the tax. So what's wrong with people working?
There is uncertainty, but Leave voices here and elsewhere expect to be heard, to shape a new relationship with Europe. Ed Thomas, BBC News, Stoke.